Decision Diaries.
Welcome to Decision Diaries. Today on Decision Diaries, we are going to talk about freshman college decisions. So it has been a year since my son went away to college, and now we're going to hear about all the decisions he made.
We
Both-
were merely freshmen.
Both good and bad decisions. So welcome, Corey Layfield.
There's a bad decision right there.
And we have Bruce Layfield.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
All right. I'm glad you're glad to be here.
I
I'm
am.
also glad that you made it through your freshman year. So kudos.
I don't think there was a doubt that I was going to make it.
Oh, well, let's talk about some things. Okay. So we are going to start with that moment that all parents, and I think there are some parents out there right now that are experiencing this, that when you go to move your child away from home to college, you fear that they may make some bad choices. So you put all your hopes and dreams that they're going to listen to all the lessons you taught them when you raised them, and they're going to remember all those lessons while they're at college. So, Corey,
Did you make any bad choices?
did you make any bad choices?
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. Definitely a couple I made.
You want to?
You want to
Where do
elaborate
you
on your bad choices?
Where do you want me to start?
Well, I mean,
Number one,
number one bad choice you made your freshman year.
definitely joining the service industry with no prior thing and having to adapt to that lifestyle at the busiest point.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. Okay, so your first semester, you did not work. Your second semester, you worked. And there definitely was a difference. And I would say that I don't know when you made this decision, but your first semester, you decided to take morning classes. What was that all about?
I wanted to have more of my day to do stuff, go read, just enjoy. And if I eventually got a job, I could, work in the morning or just do class in the morning, have a little bit of time, and then go to work. It went well. It went pretty well.
Your first semester went well. Yeah.
Yeah, you were on the Dean's List first semester, right?
Dean's
I was.
List first semester. So good choices there.
What were some of your decisions you made? You think in your first semester?
First semester.
Well,
I mean,
you
I
had
just-
your apartment taken care of, but after that, what kind of things did you have to figure out?
Kind of like work-life balance, especially
Well, you
with,
didn't
You
have
weren't
a job
working.
with
first
school,
semester.
schoolwork.
Okay, school.
All right, that's
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's freshman year in college, and as every freshman in college does, you go out and party. And I had to be like, I want to get all of my schoolwork work done before I went and did things
Okay.
most of the time. So I always took a couple days, like an hour or so a day just to do all my work and get it done or start on it.
Okay. And then you also had some food choices that you were making. We packed your apartment with food for you to actually cook food. Is that what you did your first semester?
I would say that I cooked a decent amount, not a crazy amount, but I cooked enough to kind of get the experience. I'm not the best cook. I never will claim to be. It is definitely not my strong thing. But I mean, I made a lot of grilled cheese. So.
Well, it sounded like what you did instead. And some people put their kids on like college food plans, and we didn't go that route. We just kind of filled up your refrigerator and we gave you enough money for you to go and purchase groceries. But it actually sounded like what you did was you hung around your apartment complex and you took all the free coupons for Jersey subs.
Jersey Mike's.
Jersey Mike's and all the free pizzas, and that's pretty much what you ate your first semester.
Oh yeah, they laid out a bunch of them on move-in day, and I noticed them immediately, and I was like, oh okay, like I'll get a couple. I go back in the night, still a bunch left, and so I just took the rest of them.
You took them all?
I took probably about
Did you
good
leave
30%.
Did you leave some for some people, Corey? Did you
I
leave
mean,
just
yeah.
one or two?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think Jersey Mike's caught on to it, and at some
they know.
point they weren't honoring your coupons anymore.
Oh no, they always honor the coupons.
Okay.
They had a hard expiration date, but at a certain point, the employees realized, oh, you're from The Verge, aren't you? They'd always give you the same look, like, God.
The Verge is your apartment complex. Yeah.
And I'm
Okay.
just like, God, another coupon. Why?
Yeah.
And they realized that a couple of the same people had a lot of them.
Right.
So I just go to class, come back, get a free sandwich, go home.
And there was also another thing I thought was interesting, that your college had some sort of arrangement that you found out about. I think this is important, that, on the college campus, you found out that if food trucks don't arrive by a certain time, they have to give food away.
Yep, they give out free food because some people, I guess, rely on it.
Rely on the food trucks?
I guess.
Yeah, because
And
there's no cafeteria.
There's no cafeteria.
Oh,
There's
so
no
you
like,
didn't have any
real
cafeteria on campus?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So they would bring the food trucks in, and if they didn't come in, they would just be like, "Oh, free pizzas for the day." They'd order Domino's and give it to people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, took
Oh,
advantage of it a lot.
okay. All right. So we had food covered the first semester. We had the dean's list. You had early morning classes, which I thought was an
Went
odd
well.
decision. Most freshmen, I would not recommend them taking early classes because you're just learning how to party. And so taking afternoon classes probably would have been a better decision. But surprisingly, you made the dean's list.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When we dropped you off that day and we closed the door behind us, what'd you do?
I set everything up, and the second thing I did is went and go play pool with some random people,
Yeah.
and then ended up drinking that night.
Okay. So we do have the drinking covered. Okay, let's talk about your drinking decisions. So we made it very clear that Uber is a thing and that we never expected you to ever drink and drive. But as far as drinking is concerned, what changed between the first semester when you chose a drink versus what you're drinking supposedly now?
First semester, it was always like a college party or you're going to a club, so it was within walking distance. So it was more like, oh, you get a little messed up, you can always walk back to your apartment. No biggie, just leave your keys. Fine experience. Considered to now, we're like, oh, after work, go hang out at a bar, go drink a little bit, where you drink a little bit and then drive all the way home.
Did you go to any football games last year? The first
One.
semester? Yeah. What was your first college football game experience? Well, it wasn't your first college football game, but were you being in college?
Oh, it was amazing. I walked down campus towards like the kind of like mall areas, they call it,
Right.
but in front of the stadium, and just everyone pulling up together, just handing out beers to anybody that didn't have one in their hand,
Right.
and just handing out drinks and being like, "Oh, you're your UCF? Good," and then start drinking like the entire day.
Awesome. That was a good time, huh?
Oh, it was great. And you go in the stadium, everyone carries that energy into it too.
Who'd you guys play?
That was a space game, so it wasn't BYU. It was, I forgot what was this game.
I was just asking. Those are details I care about.
Yeah.
Homecoming.
Your mom
yeah.
cares about what
I
you had
care.
for dinner.
Well, I do.
what you did.
I do think
Not
that
what I had for
I
dinner.
do think that as parents send their high schoolers away to go to college, we do worry about you eating, bathing, brushing your teeth, getting along with your roommates, and of course, not dying. So it's really great that you made it through your freshman year and none of those things happened. Let's talk a little bit about making friends. Making friends. What did I tell you as far as when you went away to college? What was some of my sage advice about trying to meet people and making friends?
Go to events, go to clubs, join something. Is what I remember you saying.
Well, one of the things I said, and I still give this advice today, is that you kind of create sort of a regular schedule where you will either sit by the pool, you will go to a pool, or you will go to a certain library at a certain time, so that way people see you, and they say, oh, okay, I recognize that person and I know that person's here normally around this time, so if I want to become friends with them, I can say hi. The other thing is sitting in your classes. Did you pick the same seats every time?
I'd pick one seat and sit it for the whole semester. Would never typically move from it, and I always by the end I'd end up talking to people around me.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you keep changing your chair, it's really kind of hard for people to kind of find you. So you made some friends in class, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, the other thing that's also interesting is with these new college apartments, you kind of get thrown in with three complete strangers.
Yep.
Yeah. How were your roommates?
Well, they weren't terrible. They were really respectful about like privacy and like, getting stuff done. But so one of them was a frat guy, like hardline frat guy. The other guy in the first semester was a med student. He was about to be out, so he was always 1 foot out the door, pretty much the whole time. And then the last guy was his friend who worked pretty much a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So
So there wasn't a lot of hanging out in the
there
apartment.
really wasn't. It was more of like in passing, we see each other, say a couple things, go on with the day.
Yeah. But you didn't have, I would say your experience did not sound like you had like the roommate from hell. Like, so a lot of people talk about the roommate from hell that ruins their freshman experience. And I'm really glad that you didn't have like that roommate from hell that
Yeah.
ruined your freshman experience. But I don't think that you should allow your
Oh,
roommates
no.
to determine your freshman experience. You're there to go to college. You're there to figure out who you are. And if you have a bad roommate, that's just, to me, kind of a funny story.
It is a funny story.
Yeah, but you didn't end up in that
No,
situation.
I didn't. I do have some great stories from that, but
Yeah, some of
Anything-
which we
anything you
can't
wanna share?
tell. Well, no, I don't know that we should. Let's not share that. I think we need to go on to
dishes
semester
in the
2.
sink.
Dishes in the sink.
Dishes in
baby.
the sink for two months without cleaning them is a pretty good one. That one, that's the thing that gets me. I just could not deal with it. I'd get rid of it myself before he could do it.
Now, the other thing I think we spared your roommates from is you guys all each had a bathroom, right?
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
definitely spared his
we
roommates.
spared your roommates from, the long showers and everything else. So I think that also helps with roommates is
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're not sharing all the same bathroom, but cleanliness is an issue for sure.
I was
sure.
one of the cleaner ones. It was really just only the guy in the front he was just unclean, and it was all his dirty stuff at the end of the day.
Did you guys have any apartment parties?
We didn't, but my neighbors did.
Okay.
I've always hung out with them.
Okay. All right. So now we're through semester 1, and a couple of things that your father and I noticed that I think, you deserve some kudos. You did really well on money management. And I think that's due to the Jersey Mike's coupons. Thank you, Jersey Mike's, and the free pizzas. I think you did really well on budget. You weren't calling us and saying, oh, I blew through all of my money and I need you guys to deposit more in our accounts. Unlike our other child who does that regularly. No, you were better about that.
Yeah.
So money was not really an issue. We did notice that you were going to clubs where there was like a $20 cover charge. And that's where a lot of your money was going. But that was okay because that was kind of part of the budget.
It was your money anyway.
I saved it up.
You saved it up all your work you did this summer. So yeah.
Oh, that helped too. Yeah, you did have a savings account that if you wanted to do some things that were a little more expensive, you could do them. And you're pretty good about managing your savings account too. You made that last a long time. So we're feeling pretty awesome about semester 1. And I'm at the point now that I'm bragging that you're on the dean's list. And then, I don't know, semester 2 came along. Can you want to talk about semester 2?
Yeah. I got a job.
Okay.
I got a late night job. And
late
not
night
late
being
night.
how late, Corey?
About like 10 to 11 typically. But the drive back is sometimes an hour.
Okay, the drive back could be a nightmare. In Orlando,
So
it is bad. Yes.
So I got home roughly around 12 every day. And like jumping right into that lifestyle was very much a hard punch in the face where I just could not keep up either or. And I got way more consistent about working than I got about going to school until eventually I got to it. But by then it was already too late.
So you lost the focus of what you were there to do and what we were paying for you to do. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you lost that focus. You again, for your second semester, you chose morning classes?
I chose like mid to afternoon classes and some mornings.
It's before you got your job, though. I mean, you want to talk about how you got your job?
Oh yeah, originally I applied to like Marriott's thinking, it'd be easy pass, easy in, and then eventually I just started shotgun applying. One of those places I applied at 3 a.m, just while looking at it, just to because I was a little stressed. I applied to Medieval Times as a bartender, just thinking, oh, no way I'm getting it. Might as well shot in the dark it, see how it happens. 2 days later, get a call on my phone saying, hi, this is from Medieval Times. How can we help? Can you come in for an interview? So shocked, completely just blasted away by that. I scheduled the interview, sitting in front of a castle, just like, this, I'm never going to be here again. I'm definitely not coming back, so I'm going to make the most of this. Walk into the interview, 100% confidence, enjoying it because I'm trying to just take it all in as much as I can before I have to leave. And then next thing I know, I get offered the job on the spot. It's awesome.
Yeah, and they knew you were in college.
Mm-hmm.
And you told them you were in college, but what is also really interesting to me, and we should just talk about it, is semester 1 on Dean's List, semester 2, you failed 2 out of the 4 classes, and what's shocking of all shocking is one of those classes was speech, which I did not think that my children and anybody that was born from these 2 people could possibly fail. And yet you did, and I think that was your decision that you honestly just didn't even go. Is that what kind of
Yeah,
happened?
I just kept going to work in the
Okay.
morning. I wouldn't go to work in the morning. I would wake up later because of work, because it was peak season and in the middle of spring break and everything. And I would just be like, oh, time to go to work. And I would just completely forget about class sometimes.
You know what, Corey? I totally understand that. But what was your goal? I mean, at the end of the day, your goal is to graduate college.
Oh, yeah.
So we've had this conversation, obviously. But what did I say to you?
You got to prioritize one.
Yeah, you got to prioritize one, and you got to focus on school. And you turned it around. Good on you for doing that. But what advice would you give if somebody takes on a job?
Got to have a work-life balance. It is
Work-life school balance.
Yeah, it is imperative that you give yourself time, like honestly, for both, and then a little bit of in between both.
Well, I will tell you what I said when I found out you failed 2 classes. I looked at how much we paid for the classes, and I immediately withdrew that money from your bank account. So we have a contract that if our children fail college that we are paying for, they have failed at their part of the agreement, which is, you're supposed to be focused on college. So I took that money back.
Yeah, it was not a problem at that point.
I know you had a lot of money.
You had more money in your account.
You had more money in your. You had a lot of money in your bank account, but I did not enjoy taking that money from your bank account. But I did feel like we warned you up front, and that was going to be the game plan. And so you took it. And then the other thing I said to you is, failure is not fatal.
No, it's not.
And so luckily, you did do well in the other 2 classes, and you had such a good GPA from your first semester that the college allowed you to continue. Okay. So here we are. So you did pick up a class summer semester. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And the summer semester class, we're back. We're back, and we're focused on what the prize is.
If you were talking to an incoming freshman right now, Corey, and they were having problems with the class, what would you tell them?
Oh yeah. Why did you not?
Just go tell us what would you do now, Corey?
Yeah.
Instead of you mean
instead of getting the big fat F?
Yeah.
What would you do?
Make sure to tell your boss that you have school in the morning.
No, he's missing the point. Everyone out there missing the point. I think this is something that people should train their kids to understand, is that if you are failing a class, you should drop it. And you did not drop it. And so I don't know at what point why? Just why?
I thought I could bring it back, and I wasn't thinking about it as much as I was busy. Worrying about other stuff.
And then
the other stuff being work.
Yeah.
Right. And then in turn, it starts to build this hill now, or this thing that you now have to sort of, like a hole that you kind of have to dig yourself out of. So I would say the best decision is to teach your children that you should probably drop the class if you know that you are failing a class. Lots of colleges have a policy that you can probably drop 2 classes. They understand that freshmen are trying to find their way. You're balancing friendships, you're balancing being away from home, doing your own laundry. We're very proud that you did all your own laundry. It was great. We dropped in a couple of times. I don't know if other parents have the ability to do this, is if you live close enough and you can do those random drive-bys, which is what we did, is we did a random drive-by and, we saw that you didn't have a huge pile of dirty laundry. We saw that you were, using your towels. Your bathroom wasn't totally a mess. And so it does give, it does calm our nerves, because we can get a little bit in our heads like, oh, I haven't heard from you in a couple of days. I hope that, you're doing okay, or you're not lonely. we wanted you to always know that we love you and we're very proud of you. And that's why when the second semester didn't go so well, you took what you had to take, which was, you had to pay us back.
Yeah.
You had to sit down for a lecture.
Oh, of course.
But then the other thing you had to realize is, hey, failure's not fatal. You got back up again. So, and that's why we continue to support you as you go into your sophomore year. The other thing too is, we talk about freshman year, but now we don't even know what they are anymore because now all these kids come into school with all these AP credits. So we are really talking about the first year
away from home.
away from home. I mean, there's a lot to adjust. Is there anything that you discovered that was that you discovered that you didn't think you'd discover your freshman year?
I mean, like doing laundry was never anything that was too foreign to me. I feel like a lot of the basic stuff you guys taught me pretty well. I mean, cooking was a whole different beast.
Yeah, but you knew how to wash dishes.
I knew how to wash dishes, so it was never a problem. So I could use the same dish like a million times. It really kind of boils down to like, instead of like, I get home, food's already here. You got to take a little bit of time to prep it. You got to take a little time to do it instead of just getting DoorDash and making it easy while still costing you.
We all parents hate DoorDash. It is the biggest money suck of anything. And so if you can block your Visa card from being used on DoorDash, if somebody comes up with that, that is definitely going to happen. I thought that you were going to say that there were times in college that you missed us.
Oh, for sure.
Were there?
Times,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like certain holidays, certain things where it's like, wonder what they're doing at home. Or you guys would send pictures from whatever you're doing or some location. What's going on over there tonight?
Luckily, you're only 2.5 hours away,
yeah.
so we dropped in on quite an occasion. We took you to Easter brunch or Easter breakfast, and
well,
we did a bunch of things.
Yeah, well, the other thing in between our occasional pop-ins to just check to see that you were okay, I think the main thing is when we sent you off to college, we did talk to you about how, a lot of freshmen need to stay at the school during the weekends and not come home to their parents so much so that they can get into a rhythm of meeting people and understanding sort of the getting in a rhythm of making new friends and being around all these 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, and everybody's kind of in the same boat. I mean, it really is the one time in your life where everybody is experiencing the same things as you. Now, some people go to college with high school friends they live with. I did. Some people aren't friends at the end of their freshman year with those high school friends, which happened to me. I mean, I was living with my best friend, and by the end of our freshman year, we weren't best friends anymore because we should have never lived together. We had totally different ideas of living together. So I'm glad that we didn't see you driving home or deciding to drive home every weekend, just because making friends is kind of hard. You, on the other hand, your freshman year.
Yeah, my freshman year, that's exactly what I did. I drove. I mean, I worked with my father, so I would come home and I'd work on the weekends, or I would be done with my classes on a Wednesday, and Wednesday night I'd be in Jacksonville, and
that doesn't give you a chance to make friends.
Yeah, but it did not.
It did not.
It gave me a terrible freshman experience, and then I moved away from that school.
Right.
Which is what I did not want for you. So I wanted you to stay over there. Yeah. So what was it like to, when, like I said, when we closed the door, how hard was it to make friends? How hard was it to
I personally don't find it that hard because you can pretty much find common ground with like 90% of people.
Sure.
And some nights I would just spend playing poker in the clubhouse, or not poker, playing pool in the clubhouse, and just like or I'd go to some other events, go to things people are hosting, and you meet someone doing the same thing as you, wearing a t-shirt that, maybe you like what's on the t-shirt. Start a conversation with the person, find that like, you're from the same city, you know these people, or like, the major's the same, common ground, starts off.
6 degrees of separation, right?
Yep.
Or Kevin Bacon, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. No, I think my freshman year, I was all about my most important mission my freshman year, and especially my first semester, was I had a contract very similar to the contract that you have, that my parents said, if you fail a class, you will have to pay us back. Unlike you, I did not have a large savings account or have a lot of money. So I had no idea if I failed a class how I was going to pay my parents back. So I was scared like crazy that if I failed a class, my parents weren't going to pay for my second semester. So I was pretty good there. But what I wanted to do my freshman year was not meet people of the opposite sex. I was really trying to make friends. Like I was trying to get my friend group together, like girlfriends. I was trying to meet girlfriends. So I was trying to talk to people in my classes. And like you said, talk to people in my major. I think the apartment complex that we selected, we looked at a bunch of different apartment complexes, and I am amazed what they have out there these days. Some of these kids are living
Shocker.
in luxury and sandals resorts and lazy rivers and, all of these things. But we chose one that was kind of middle ground where I felt like any of the kids that were going to be staying at this apartment complex, we're not living a lifestyle like a sandals resort lifestyle, and that they might actually come out of their house, out of their apartments and hang out at the pool and go and get those free coupons. Like they weren't living like where they were having lobster and steak every night. I felt like they were a middle income type of apartment complex. So your apartment complex had a lot of events, and I love that you went to them. The other thing too is you started receiving messages from some of your other friends that went to other colleges, that some of your friends were already talking about changing colleges after their first semester. What do you think about that?
I think it was as simple as some people being like, "Oh, I miss hanging out with my friends all the time," or they just didn't enjoy the people or staying home. Because I have a lot of friends that stayed at UNF. Like, "Oh, this will be fine. I don't need to go anywhere." Saw what everybody else was doing. We're kind of just a little jealous.
Oh, so they decided to go away to college.
Yeah.
They thought that staying home was going to be the
Mhm.
solution. Yeah. I also think that there's a certain amount of, you have a certain amount of expectations. How did the expectation of going to Orlando live up to where you put it? Like when you chose Orlando, did it live up to the Orlando hype?
I'd say in the first year, it definitely did.
Okay.
Working in the entire city is based around my major, so just learning about it, and then I don't know, going for a drive down I drive, and then seeing all these things that are like the exact things they talk about, being like, oh, like hotels in the industry, they start talking about it, same thing all around it. Plus, it's Orlando. There's nothing but entertainment around there, so
There's a lot to do.
there's a lot
Well,
to do.
I think another decision that you made that I like, and I also promoted this decision, is when some of your friends from high school choose other colleges, go and visit them and then invite them. If you're having a lonely moment, invite them to come to your school, because, there's that little bit of, you already know them. They know who you are. You guys know what each other likes and everything like that. And then it's almost like you're taking them on tour. You're giving them a tour of, this is what my life's like. What is your life like? And I love that you did that. You did go up to FSU, and I won't hold that against you. You did not end up partying at University of Florida. You need to find somebody over there to go party at University of Florida, so you have some like apples to apples comparison. But I did think that your Halloween trip to FSU, obviously FSU now has an epic Halloween party,
Oh, it
was pretty phenomenal. And that really solidifies that transition of high school relationships to college relationships. And then that will then help you when you go from college into the professional world. So, maintaining those new friendships and then meeting new friends. Now, we have not had what I thought we would have by now after a freshman year. You bring home a group of people that you met at college to stay at our house, or are you bringing home a girlfriend from college?
Hold on now. Hold on.
Well,
Hold
I don't
on.
know. I mean,
Hold on. Wait,
I
hold
haven't
on.
seen
Whoa,
one
whoa, whoa.
come home.
Well,
Come home.
we
That's what I'm talking about.
They haven't come home to visit, but we did go see him in Orlando the other day, and we went and met all his friends from work.
We did meet all your friends. That
and-
was great.
And your special friend. And Yeah, I mean, she's super nice. Everybody was nice. All your work
Oh
friends are
yeah,
super
they're all
cool.
great.
So what? How was that? I mean, how was that? How is it? How hard was it to talk to people that I don't think any of them were in college?
Mhm.
No, these are all
They're all
non-college
not.
people. So you're doing
There's
a
a few. There's a
little,
few of them in school, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but and some of them were have graduated school. How was it that being the
The
freshman,
youngest.
the youngest, and you hang out with an eclectic group of kids or people? They're kids to us, to be honest. But you hang out with a group, a fun group. I mean, how was that navigating school, being a freshman, being young, and starting a job like that? Because your last job, you were the king of the court because you were a camp counselor for 4 years,
And
and
everybody
now
was your age.
yeah, everybody
Yep.
was your age. So now you're dealing with people all over the place. So
Oh yeah.
what was that like?
It was definitely different because you don't get a lot of the same common ground with younger people, where it's like, oh, you went to high school at the same time. You get the things I understand. Like when I started working at the castle, it was immediate. When I was training, I'd be talking to my coach or something about something, and they'd have no clue. They wouldn't know about the common things that someone else my age would know. And I found through some sports teams or otherwise like work experience kind of helped me bring it all together. And meeting people older than me is never a problem because I'm sure there's something you can find common ground with. Like I made good friends with my coworker because he was talking about Game of Thrones, giving a whole rant about that final season, and I started talking to him about it. Made good friends with him, and then he introduced me to more of his coworkers, and so on and so forth.
Right, right, and that's what it's about, right? It's finding common ground when you are a freshman or someone new in a town. You do need to find a common ground, and that does open the door, right?
Well, do you think that would you recommend for freshmen who may not be outgoing to work to meet people?
Yeah,
Really?
I
Okay.
definitely would think so because
Even though that they should be focused on
yeah,
school, you
a
really
lot of
think people
my
should work?
best friendships have come from people I've worked with because I mean, working kind of shows the true side of people. It shows that they're hardworking. It shows what they're going to be able to do. And if your coworker, so you work at like a McDonald's or something, all your coworkers are in the same college as you, same thing. You never know who they are, what they want to do, and it could be like entirely different things you never thought about.
Is it easy to talk to people in your college classes now that you guys all have these phones? Like, I didn't have that kind of distraction. Like, when I went into my freshman year and I sat there in my freshman classes with all the freshmen, we were all kind of staring straight at the board and we weren't looking at phones or anything. We were kind of forced to talk to each other? Like, do you find that the phone situation or meeting people in classes is this easier now or is it harder?
It's kind of harder, I would say,
Really?
because some
Okay.
people are really absorbed in their phone or who they're talking to, or sometimes even recording the lesson so they can watch it back later whenever they want it. And then
Oh,
you
you're
find
allowed to record? I
you
didn't
have
know
to
that.
ask the permission,
Oh, okay. Okay.
but some people just straight up record the whole thing. I find that if you sit next to someone long enough, you come in every morning, you come in every time, say hi, a couple small words at the beginning. Why eventually they're gonna want to talk to you, or like you chime up in class about something. Like they always give you a good amount of time in the beginning just to meet people, but it's if the other person really wants to. Because some people like you can sit next to them the whole semester and they'll just look at their phone when they walk in.
Yeah, I think those people kind of close themselves
Mhm.
off. It's kind of
Oh yeah,
like when you get on an airplane, if somebody's, has their earbuds in or somebody's looking down at their phone, they
Yeah, I
kind of,
guess you kind of need to be more open. I mean,
yeah.
I think you're right. I think a lot of these kids aren't nearly as open as you and I
Mhm.
had to be.
Oh, yeah.
And Corey, we've taught you to be more outgoing than most, so that helps you meet people. That's
Well, did some of these professors
because your
ask you
circle
guys
gets
to
bigger.
put away your phones? I mean, I
all
can't
the
even
time.
imagine being a teacher these days. I mean, I'm
What a
being a
nightmare.
high school teacher, but even being a college professor, like that somebody is paying for this child's school. Either this child's paying for their own school or their parents are paying, and you look among all those college students and you're not seeing their eyeballs, you're seeing their heads down on their phones. Were you surrounded by more people with their heads down on their phones, or is it kind of changing now since COVID and everything? Are
I
people
would
kind of
really
reaching out?
say it depended on the class
Oh, okay.
and the professor.
Oh,
I had some professors that he would go on like long lectures about like philosophy, history, things like that. Nobody would be on their phones. Everyone would be paying attention to him. because he commanded attention. And he also understood that if someone's going to look at their phone, they're going to be looking at it. I don't care. You're missing out on information. You're missing out on what I get to say.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
so
a good point.
his ideal on it was that, kid's looking at his phone, missing out. And then I've had other professors that'll like yell at kids, full stop, yell at someone for being on their phone.
Oh, I
and
love
force
those
people
people.
to pay attention, where people are still just going to zone out and disassociate. But now it's just not with their phone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Makes
that's a good
sense.
point. Yeah, that's a good point. So did you have like, I don't know, I felt like my freshman year, I had a couple of those classes. And mine I think was very similar to yours. I took a humanities class and I loved learning about all of the art history and humanities and Greek mythology, and then I took a philosophy class my freshman year, and I was surprised my parents with how I was actually into the education, because they thought for sure that I was barely going to class and going to bars, and I was instead really going to bars, but I was really into learning. Was there like some classes? I think you and I talked a little bit about
Yeah.
humanities. I mean,
My
you take some awesome classes though. I mean, you've got a nice major.
my intro to humanities, that professor was definitely something else. Early in the morning, first thing in the morning, he'd walk in bright and early, like, all right, here we go, and then just start going at it about like philosophy. He'd ask like hard questions to students about, and not even about like the book. He didn't use a book. He would like show us how everything is. He'd show us and like read like passages with us, and he'd give us like the whole digest of things and make it interesting so like we could pay attention and understand. And then you'd also have professors that did the exact opposite, where it was like it's just to them show. They'll
Oh, they
ramble
just
on,
they just
spout from the book, read the exact text. And it's like,
Oh, that's terrible.
the book.
You know, I almost feel like I want a refund from some of those. And I understand. I mean, you know, it is what it
Yeah,
is, but
we've
everybody's had those professors, and everybody's had the professors that are really inspiring. But I think the freshman year, you hopefully out of all the classes you take, you have one class. Did you take a class your freshman year that inspired you? Did you take a photography class or anything, like a fun class?
I took a photography class my
'Cause you
freshman year.
Yeah, because you were in a photography
Yep. It was
program.
a 12-hour course. It was a full load. One
Wow.
course
Did
was a
you
full
like
load.
that guy?
Love the guy, and I met
Okay.
some great photographers from it too. I
Oh,
met like
but
one
it
of the-
didn't really
I met the
make you
photographer.
want to stay though.
I was homesick.
Oh,
I know. I was
sad.
homesick.
too late at that point.
Yeah, it was, and I was homesick, and it was just, it's stupid in hindsight, but I probably could have made it work, but I was just homesick. So at the end of the day, that's just what it was.
Yeah, I think
And
the
I
other
wouldn't
thing is we did set you up and say, look, there are going to be times you're going to be homesick, but please don't come home. Because
We
because
like it.
your father and I were exploring our space as well. And so we needed to know if you were coming home so that we put on the proper attire. But the
Clothes.
other, yeah, like clothes in general. But the other thing too is I really wanted we signed a 1-year lease, because apparently now these days you cannot sign like an 8-month or 6-month lease.
That's stupid.
I mean,
It's
it's ridiculous. So if I'm going to pay for a year, I want my child to give it their all. Give it their all. If they're not making any friends, then they need to join 5 more clubs. If they're not, just give it your all. If you're coming home to us every weekend, that's not a good sign. Now, if you are severely depressed, okay, you need to seek help and all of that stuff.
Can I say something real
But,
quick? Sorry
you
to
know,
interrupt. Lynn.
But give it your all.
If I could go back and do what you did and get a job somewhere
Mhm.
and work, I'm pretty sure I probably would have stayed in Daytona. But I worked with my dad, and I was making decent money, and my friend worked a little bit with my father, and it was just, I just didn't. I had a hard time making friends in Daytona.
Mhm.
So if I'd have got a job like you did in Orlando, it's probably what kept
Yeah.
you there. I would willing to think it helped keep you there.
It's definitely what motivated me to stay and explore the city more. Because the more I learned, because I was working in the industry that I was learning about. Everything I was seeing was applying, and it really helped me like stay and get like more inspired to do hospitality further.
Right.
And it also was like, oh, here's how hotels work. Here's how pricing in bars work. Things like that. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm seeing this physically, and it just kept me in it, kept me interested in everything.
Sure.
Where if I was just reading books.
Practice what you preach, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I think wait, hold on a second. He did say something there that I want to talk about a little bit. So my freshman year, I went to Gainesville, right? And Gainesville is a very small town, and you chose to go to a college in a very big city. And in Gainesville, it was freshman year, it was great because you go to Publix, and the people who work at Publix are college students. You go to Walgreens, college students. I mean, college students everywhere you go within a very small radius. But you're in a big time city, and I think one of the things that I really loved is even on days where maybe you couldn't find anybody to hang out with, it sounded like you were just exploring the city. And I could never have done that in Gainesville because it's like where was I going to go? Like Ocala or something around that. So not being in a college town and being in kind of a big city, you were able to leave the college area, which I think people should try to do sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Leave the college area and kind of explore the cities around the college zone. I mean, where did you go? I mean, you went everywhere. You're finding places in Orlando we've never even heard of. I mean,
I started off going to Winter Park. That was one of the first places I went to outside the college zone. That's Rollins College's whole area, but
yeah, other
it was
colleges,
still new to me personally because it's like, oh, you see all this, and it's like, whoa, I've seen this.
Yeah,
and I kept getting more of those experiences. You look on Instagram, you look on any social media, and this person's like, oh, come check out like Lake Baldwin or some small area that's really quite nice, kind of quaint. And I would just keep doing it. I have a day off, have a day off of work, have a day where I'm not at school. Just go do that. Just go see some random place. What else can I go see in a week? And it led to me finding some really cool places and some really, really good restaurants.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, you did.
definitely
You found a
discovered
lot of,
some restaurants.
I mean, yeah, discovering restaurants was kind of not my jam my freshman year. I think all I discovered was ramen and, macaroni and cheese. And you, on the other hand, you did have some nice savings. And I mean, it's amazing to me that your generation really likes fine dining. Like, I don't know that everyone in your generation even knows how to just eat mac and cheese for a whole week the way that we used to.
That's why
I
he has
think
a
you
job
guys,
set.
yeah, I know, but I think you guys like your sushi. And I don't think a lot of kids, did you meet a lot of kids that really enjoyed their college food plan?
Nobody enjoyed their college. I mean, some people did kind of enjoy their college.
I mean, is there good college food plan food?
There is now. They had the whole like big buffet where you can
Yeah.
just pick whatever you wanted, and some of the got burritos, pizza, tacos.
And now they're
cookies.
all like independently run. They're not all like
They're not all.
institutional
Yeah.
food, right? Yeah.
Some places do like a credit where you just have like a certain amount of week you can just spend on something.
So you think if we would have bought you a college food plan, would you have used it, or you would have still
definitely would.
explored all your other restaurants?
Probably would have done it less because I know I could have done like pre-cooked food in another place. Because like what drove me to some of those restaurants was like, well, that food was good food, really long time. So I'd go to some new place that had some like interesting dish I thought was cool. But I feel like it definitely would have been less.
Yeah.
Than I have done it because I would have already like pre-cooked food. Oh, this day's pizza, next day is whatever. It probably would have stopped me from going out to search for like better options for those things.
Well, between the coupons and all your fine little dining with your savings, what did you actually repeatedly cook, and how often did you go there?
I didn't cook the most often.
Eggs.
Well, I did make eggs. I would do eggs and spaghetti.
Okay,
Those are the things I know how to
that's
cook.
pretty good.
That and we had a toaster oven. So what I would do is I'd go to the grocery store, I'd buy 2 whole things of prosciutto, like just like provolone and like the wheat bread, and I would just sit there at that toaster oven just making sandwiches. Just make a sandwich every day, every other day. Just kept doing it, and I would just buy them in bulk. Just keep making sandwiches when I wasn't like getting the nice food. I just do that. And I had a couple of days where I experimented with new food. There was a day I bought bacon, tried to make that.
Oh, how'd that
Set off
go?
the fire alarm.
Yeah, I was gonna say bacon is
Properly.
never a good. Yeah.
Had a couple moments like that where it's like, oh, I'm not eating out. I'm just trying to make food at home. trying to get by with some like small groceries, low spending weight.
Okay. So
So going forward, now you're getting ready for your second year. What are you looking forward to the most?
Oh, I'm definitely looking forward to the classes.
Yeah.
I picked out some good ones this year. I'm really excited to see how that goes. The
Okay.
people in them. And then I'm also looking forward to, I mean, it's a slower season for work. So I actually have time to be able to get to class, meet more people than I was able to last semester.
You excited about being the big man on campus because now you're second year?
Not really. It's
Yeah.
not much different.
Yeah, my question's slightly different because
Here we
I
go.
think that after you survive your freshman year, because really the dropout rate for freshmen is pretty
very
darn high.
It is really,
We
really
all
high.
know that our first child did not get through a full year of freshman year, but now that you have made it through your freshman year and you look back and you think, if I had only known about XYZ, I would have done what? If you had only known, if somebody wise on a podcast named Corey Layfield told me XYZ, then I would have done a couple things differently. I mean, I can think of one right off the top of my head. I'm amazed that you're even pausing.
I'm pausing. It took me a second, but like time management was
Okay.
numero uno for me.
Meaning get your time management down before your freshman year?
I would say during, because you're going to have times where you're going to slip up because it's natural. But that was definitely what killed me the hardest
Okay.
throughout the whole thing.
Okay. That's the only lesson?
And there's a couple other ones.
Okay. Going into your sophomore year, let me tell you a couple of lessons you should have learned. Mom and dad don't play.
Oh yeah, I knew
all right,
that.
yeah.
I knew that.
So you fail a class, we obviously we're gonna take that money
I
back.
knew you'd follow through.
Okay,
I
second.
never
If you are failing a class, what are you supposed to do now?
drop out.
You're supposed to drop the class.
Thank you. Plenty of
Don't
time to do
take
it.
don't take the failing grade and dig a hole. Drop the class. Call your parents. Apologize. We'll take back the money. It'll be okay. Again, you just live to fight another day on that class. But for heaven's sakes, don't take the bad grade when you don't have to.
Don't kill your GPA, Corey.
Don't kill your GPA. Okay, those were my top of minds. Of course, I'm really glad that you took all the advice of, don't drink and drive.
Oh yeah, never.
No. I do think that you haven't avoided all the tolls in Orlando. I think a life lesson for us as parents, sending your child to a big city like Orlando, go ahead and purchase a toll road pass.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, eventually they're going to hit a toll road, and you're just going to get those because the car is registered back to the parents. You are just going to see those tickets come in one at a time. So I think one of our mistakes is not doing the toll road. I'm so proud that we did not buy any sort of crazy college meal plan. I mean, there were some weird meal plans that were available that we could have purchased, but we did hold off on that, and that's okay because you wanted to eat at restaurants and you wanted to spend your money in other places, and then when you started working, you started taking home food, and then all those. I want to say we picked the right apartment complex because they had the most events.
They had so many events.
And they had the most coupons. So kudos to us.
They bring in coupons, they bring in pizza, So not a lot of people would show up to some of those events sometimes. So we also got some pizza. I would just get all the rest of the pizza. Office workers would be like, we have to throw it out by the end of the night. Do you want the rest of it? Yep.
Yeah.
I'll take the whole box.
Yeah. I think the other thing you'd say is if you see a pile of coupons, take them all. And if you see some food, eat it all. And if there's any leftover food, take it home.
Take it home.
Always take it home. For some reason, my freshman year, I was into gathering toilet paper. That was like a real problem. Like we didn't want to spend any of our beer money on toilet paper. So we stole those. Any freshman do-overs for you, honey?
I wouldn't go back home as much as I did. I started going back home every weekend. So that kind of, in hindsight, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But it's my story. That's the way I did it. So at the end of the day, it worked out.
Well, it did because you wouldn't have met me if you hadn't come home. You might have been in Daytona and been like a photographer extraordinaire.
Professional photographer.
And then we wouldn't have met each other.
You're
all right.
Why did I stay at school? Damn it.
It would have changed our story. Okay, I am going to wrap up and say this. I am so proud of you. I am so glad that you survived. I call it survived your freshman year and didn't end up with, I don't know what I was expecting, but, and all the parents packing up right now, packing up your children and starting to have those worry thoughts. It's going to be okay as long as you set limits on what you expect from your children and the consequences that will happen if your children do not deliver on what you expect for. I think doing those drive-bys, checking on your children
certainly.
is really good. Texting them from time to time.
FaceTime. Yep.
FaceTime is your
Yes.
friend. FaceTime is your friend. We could look at your face and we could see, okay, he's eating pretty good and he apparently is brushing his teeth. Not maybe brushing his hair as much as we like, but that's fine. It's
Definitely needs a haircut.
That's the way these kids look these days, honey. That's just the way that they look. So I hope you appreciate the sacrifice your father and I have made to pay for this lovely experience that you're having. And off we go on to
Round 2.
the next year. So to everyone who's packing up their children, I wish your children the best of luck. I hope they make great decisions. I hope hopefully you've learned that maybe college meal plans may not be the way to go. And I'm not sure what tips and tricks we'd have on Decision Diaries, but I would love anyone who is interested in talking about a decision to go to decisiondiaries.com. Tell us what decision you would like to talk about and share your life lessons with our audience. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Decision Diaries.